Welcome to MOT Daily. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo. And to start the show, I want to begin with a survey that was conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau and National Center for Health Statistics that found 40% of U.S. adults developed symptoms of depression or anxiety in 2020. The survey they taken asks questions such as how often they felt down, depressed, hopeless, or anxious in the last week, and also if they showed little interest in things they previously liked. The chart shown that these people that had taken the survey had quadrupled in signs of anxiety and depression before the pandemic. What is worse, a cough or psychological trauma? In other news, the bird flu has been detected in multiple states. This started in January on the 14th when the USDA confirmed avian influenza in a wild bird in South Carolina. 4 days later, they found more wild birds testing positive for the virus. Then, in February on the 9th, they found it in a commercial turkey flock in Indiana. Then, on Valentine's Day, more cases were discovered in a flock of commercial broiler chickens in Kentucky, then in a mixed flock in Virginia. They say it is the first highly lethal bird flu in Kentucky. The last one killed more than 50 million U.S. chickens and turkeys in 2015. However, at this time, the USDA has said these avian influenza detections do not prevent an immediate public concern, adding, no human cases of these avian influenza viruses have been detected in the United States. As a reminder, the proper handling and cooking of poultry and eggs to an internal temperature of 165 kills the bacteria and viruses. The U.S. is the world's largest producer and second largest exporter of poultry meat, and Kentucky is the seventh largest chicken meat producer in the country. Needless to say, there might be even more shortages on meat and higher cost. Could we be entering a meatless world to allegedly prevent viruses? From birds to planes, we now talk about the aviation industry and its effect on the climate. So, World Wildlife Fund states it's one of the fastest growing sources of greenhouse gas emissions, and it's driving global climate change. They also added that flying on a plane is one of the most carbon-intensive activities an individual can make. Now, the CEO of Airbus is trying to get out ahead of this by encouraging the development and growth of the sustainable aviation fuel. He's hoping that his planes, can be run on this sustainable aviation fuel 100% by the end of the decade. But a more long-term solution, he states, is to build hydrogen planes. So in 2020, they released 3 concept models of a hybrid hydrogen plane. They are stating that it might enter the market in 2035. However, other airline CEOs are doubtful it will happen within the decade, and the industry as a whole remains skeptical of it as well, thinking that the sustainable aviation fuel will be used more, and it will unfortunately cause plane ticket prices to go up due to the cost of the fuel. Will airplanes in the future that run on regular fuel be charged with ecological crimes? Now, let's go back to the ground. In Washington State University, researchers have made a nanomaterial that could help U.S. bridges and pavements. This new material has been shown to protect concrete from moisture and salt, showing that 75% improvement in repelling water and a 44% improvement in reducing salt damage. Xianming Shi, professor in Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, said, and he's also the one leading this study, has said that, quote, if you can keep concrete dry, the vast majority of durability problems will go away, unquote. Since the 1990s, the American Society of Civil Engineers have found that out of 600,000 bridges in the U.S., 40,000 are considered structurally deficient. Also, 1 out of every 5 miles on the highway is in poor condition. Professor Shi adds, concrete, even though it seems like a solid rock, it's basically a sponge when you look at it under a microscope. Using nanomaterials, they were able to make it more difficult for water to penetrate, and they formed a barrier against intrusion of water vapors. It will also protect the concrete from physical and chemical attacks of de-icing salt. This sealer can also help cure fresh concrete. The researchers plan to conduct a pilot-scale demonstration in the next 2 years. It'll be done at the Washington State University campus. Now to the digital world. Pablo Picasso's art is going to live on in the NFT space. His granddaughter, Marina Picasso, states she supports NFT technology, and her uncle Claude Picasso endorsed her and her son's decision to make 1,011 NFTs of never-before-seen painted ceramic bowls by Pablo Picasso in 1958. Marina said, I have a 30-year-old son who's passionate about NFTs. It appealed to me, so I looked into this subject. And I find that it's a modern technology that allows us to connect with art. It really appealed to me. And it's in this way that I decided with my son to create our first NFT collection, unquote. The title of the collection is Man and the Beat. Now, John Legend has promoted the project, but few have managed to sell. So far, only 10% of the collection